guess.
That's better.
Barbera!
Wranglers, Rams, Cherokees, even Grand Cherokees from 16666.
I'm not kidding.
DallasStillSucks.com.
16666 tax tag and $477 doc fee. Supplies last. Details at DallasStillSucks.com.
Cheats!
Gary Barbera te va a meter el trasero en un Wrangler.
Ram, Cherokee, even Grand Cherokee, 16666. So push your tush to Barbera. You're going to save a bucket of bucks.
It's a stud.
Yeah, we know. Do the thing, Coach Nick.
This is Coach Sirianni. Is Barbera the best? Boy, I guess.
Number 1 on your car radio preset and the new and improved iHeart Radio app. WDAS and WD273D Philadelphia is Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Kicking off your Saturday the right way. You're listening to Sean Barnard live right here on The Gambler.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Fox Sports The Gambler. My name is Sean Barnard, as always, right here with my guy Sam Oshtry, and we got a lot to get into this fine Saturday morning here. It is a busy time in the world of sports. The college football season cruising by, the NFL season cruising by, the World Series in full swing, and of course, Sam and I's favorite right here, NBA basketball is back, baby. So we got a lot to dive into. We're going to touch on it all, from the VJ Edgecombe debut that went as well as a debut possibly could for an NBA player. Victor Wembanyama looking like an alien, the likes of something I've never seen before on an NBA floor. Plenty of other takeaways from Anthony Edwards shining, Steph Curry still doing it, the Philadelphia 76ers having a pulse. We're going to touch it all, including the unfortunate headline of this season, which is the gambling thing that did break this week. So we're going to touch on it all before we dive fully into it. Sam Oshtry, how we doing, my friend?
I almost forgot the World Series was going on that you just mentioned. That I've just been all NBA all week. Even the NFL, great college football slate. It's that time. Sports Equinox is actually coming up on Monday, where all 4 leagues
have
a game being played. It only happens once a year, so that's coming up on Monday, something to watch out for. But this is going to be a heavy NBA show, for sure, as we like to do. And it was the quintessential week in the NBA, where this week couldn't be more National Basketball Association than it was, where you had amazing high-level basketball on the court, really competitive games, but all of it was clouded by huge off-court drama issue, whatever you want to call it, but the NBA gambling scandal that rocked the league. And it's going to be a tough few weeks coming up, but we'll talk about it here.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's plenty more to still unfold that we'll get details out as they continue to emerge. And I'll just start with where I come from on this. Is the number one thing that jumped out is it's just a bummer to me that this is the headline that we're talking about. There has been some straight-up elite basketball played on the courts this week, and this is the headline, but it has to be the headline, so we are going to start there with it. So for me personally, this broke. We had the first two days of NBA basketball, absolute thrillers, the double overtime Houston Rockets versus Oklahoma City Thunder game to kick things off, and then the Philadelphia 76ers being in action, VJ Edgecombe, Tyrese Maxey, a 40 ball. Do not let that get lost in translation. We'll circle back. But I go to bed that night after 2 absolutely electric days of hoops there. Wake up, and it's all breaking news that Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, the FBI is involved here. Sam, what was your initial reaction when that popped across your screen and you read it for the first time?
Terry Rozier wasn't shocking, and he was the first arrest to be made because we had heard that he was involved with a potential gambling scheme, and he was investigated by the NBA and cleared by the NBA, but we still knew there was a federal investigation taking place. So that wasn't shocking. When you see Chauncey Billups' name pop up, then you're like, this is an active coach, an NBA Hall of Famer, an NBA Finals MVP. This runs deeper than we ever could have imagined. And then the details start to circulate, and you talk about Damon Jones, a former NBA player and teammate of LeBron James, and a former coach, a guy who was around the Lakers a lot over the last few years when Darvin Ham was the head coach. So when those names start to circulate, you're like, all right, this runs deeper than one lone player. This is a whole scheme that obviously the Italian mob was orchestrating, that they genuinely recruited a bunch of NBA players to, whether it was to fix the games, which certain people did like Terry Rozier, whether it's to provide inside information like Chauncey Billups is alleged to do. And that's all connected to these poker games, too, where they were scamming people out of millions of dollars. So it's 2 interconnected cases that the FBI dropped, and they had a whole press conference where they got their quotes in. They got Kash Patel got his big moment that he really wanted coming at the NBA. So they made a whole big deal out of it, which was a really bad look for the NBA. But it is pretty serious. It's nothing to scoff over.
Yeah, absolutely there. And I do think Chauncey Billups is the biggest story of this first, because he's involved in every angle of this, because there are the layers. And again, I don't think this is the end of it, that I think there's going to be more information coming out, more names coming to light, and more details on how this all was pulled off here.
I think there's a lot more names that are going to come. I think there's NBA players who are shaking in their boots right now at the potential of other guys flipping on them.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. I'll start with, it blows my mind that NBA basketball players remotely get involved in this situation. Now, as far as the reaction, we obviously are here on Fox Sports The Gambler. That gambling has infiltrated sports in a way that, whether you agree with or disagree with, it's the reality of the situation here. And for the players that are very openly critiquing, like I'm seeing the Jaylen Brown quotes and things like that, I get it. But at the same time, there's a reason.
No, I don't get it. Let's talk about that for a second. Jaylen Brown's the vice president of the National Basketball Players Association. He should understand more than anybody that the league and the players of the league have profited and benefited from these partnerships with gambling companies. They are the main sponsors for so many of these teams, for the leagues, and their revenues and their profits have gone way up. That's a big reason why the salary cap's gone up. That's a big reason why these TV partnerships were able to pay as much as they have for these media rights deals that they just secured from Amazon, from NBC, from ESPN, because all those companies also partner with gambling companies. The gambling companies have endless amounts of money right now, and they are the primary sponsors for all of the NBA media deals and for the NBA itself. So these players are directly benefiting from that revenue stream coming in, and it's coming from a lot of it gambling agency, gambling organizations. So it's like, for Jaylen Brown not to understand that somehow was kind of mind-boggling. He's not just any player in the NBA. He's the vice president of the NBPA.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. That was going to be the but to my sentence there of you want to connect the dots or follow the money here. That's where it's stemming from, my guy. So, I understand the frustration for it being pushed at the rate. It's not perfect, the rollout that has been the case with gambling overall. There's certainly things that should be tweaked and will be tweaked moving forward. The prop bet stuff in itself, I think, is going to be a huge topic discussion. I also blows my mind, I don't want to just say how dumb these guys are, but the Jonte Porter situation, which obviously happened there, the second anybody is betting prop bets on Jonte Porter should be a red flag right there. And I get Terry Rozier is not quite that he is a legitimate NBA player and a guy that I quite liked for most of his career as far as who he is as a talent. But I don't understand, in this situation, and reading the ESPN article, it's talking about $200,000 cash being brought to him. Terry Rozier makes $29 million to play basketball. So I don't understand why you would risk millions for the sake of thousands here. And I get 200,000 is still plenty of money. That would change my life right now, personally, if that was deposited at my house. But if you're Terry Rozier, how do you remotely get to this situation? And I know it doesn't happen overnight, that it is a gradual process where you're kind of reeled in. All of a sudden, somebody has something on you and you need a favor. But you just, in today's ecosystem, as an athlete, have to be smarter about that. We're seeing it at the collegiate level. We're seeing it all across sports. There's going to be more of this. I also want it to be clear that I know it's a black eye in a sense. It's also a good thing that this is as forward facing, that this is not new, that this is just happening. The Black Sox scandal happened in 1920 or whatever it is. These have happened since the beginning of time. The fact that there is legalized gambling and legislated to protect it and have bookkeepers keeping track of the flow of money, that kind of thing. That's why these things get flagged and why they get caught. And I think that should be acknowledged in sort of a celebratory fashion.
I think that's the main point and the main takeaway anybody who's really concerned should take away from this. The NBA was also in a gambling scandal back in the mid-2000s with Tim Donahue.
Which was way worse, by the way.
And that was a ref fixing games.
Correct.
And Tim Donahue was the only ref that really went to jail and got in real trouble, but he was not the lone participant in that gambling. Yeah, there's some names out there. If you really do some investigating on that, that rocked the NBA. People thought the NBA wouldn't ever recover from that situation because the integrity of the game was being questioned. We're now 2 decades later, and the NBA is at the healthiest place it's ever been. Just secured its largest media rights deal ever on a global stage, on a domestic stage. It's as popular as it's ever been. So the NBA obviously recovered, just like the NBA will recover from this. But it is scary because the one thing, you can talk about the aspiration scandal with the Clippers and all these other scandals that come up in the NBA. This is worse because the cardinal sin of the NBA is bringing into question the integrity of the basketball being played. Anything that questions the integrity of the actual basketball being played on the court is the biggest nightmare for Adam Silver and the league office. And that's, of course, what this does when Terry Rozier was taking money or getting a piece of the bets, of the money that came from the bets, to rig games in a sense, to hit his unders and go out early. That's questioning the integrity on the court. But the reason why I think this is exactly what you said. I think this is going to be fine for the NBA, and they're going to recover. They're going to be all right. This is a good thing.
Yeah.
The legalized gambling is the reason this is not going to happen again. It was inevitable in the aftermath of gambling becoming legal, where they were going to, all these cases were going to come up of like, all right, it's so prominent, it's all over your screens. People were going to, this was going to happen. But you don't think the Italian mob and mafia organizations were approaching players way before the legalization of gambling? So people blaming gambling companies and the NBA being in cahoots with these gambling organizations is just wrong. And it's naive because this was happening before. Now it can get caught because now with legalized gambling, there's watchdog agencies, there's regulatory companies that can monitor this stuff. And when you monitor it, you can see aberration activity that's happening when you can flag that stuff. And that's exactly how Jonte Porter was caught. That's how Terry Rozier was caught. That's what leads to all this stuff. So the legalization of gambling has actually regulated the industry, which is exactly what you said earlier. And that means this is never going to happen again. Sometimes in life, you have to see, someone has to be made an example out of, and that backs everyone else off. There is nobody in the NBA who can look at the situation and go, it is worth it for a second. You're risking your entire life, your family, tens and millions of dollars that Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier are now sacrificing. It's not worth it. And they needed to see people go down for everyone else to recognize it's not worth it. So it's a really dark day and a dark week for the NBA, but the NBA will be fine in the long run. And people concerned about these gambling companies and the NBA being in cahoots with them, you shouldn't be, because this is actually the legalization of gambling, and the regulatory agencies are going to stop this from happening again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not willing to go as far as it'll stop, because there's always going to be bad apples, and there's always going to be
there's idiots out there.
Sure, for sure. And to be honest, I think if anything, this might be more of an indictment on the stupidity of the people getting involved. Like Chauncey Billups, man, you're an NBA Hall of Famer. You made $130 million in your playing career. You're a legend. You're a guy that is one of the more well-respected basketball players overall. This is now like a forever stain on your resume, man. And you're an active head coach. Like the Billups thing, I think, is the biggest black eye so far. And again, we're going to hear more details. We're going to see how this all ties together. I don't think this is the end of this story whatsoever. The Rozier thing, I mean, the highlights floating around are brutal. It's ugly. I get you can get some lowlights for anybody and cut them together to make it look. But when you add in all the context, it's not great. Like the injury stuff, also obviously not great. I do wonder if there begins to be a little bit more strickening up on the prop bet like markets, but then again, that just forces things offshore that people are going to chase those. So I don't know exactly what the perfect solution is here. Do you have any, and again, we are still early in the information period, but do you have any feel for like what is the resolution from this? I think obviously being banned from the NBA is the start. Do you think there's more to this? Do these guys do jail time? What's kind of your initial predictions there?
I don't think they do jail time. I mean, the Chauncey Billups situation is interesting because he was actually only named in the indictment for the gambling, or excuse me, the poker games, where he was the lure, where these mafia organizations were rigging poker games and they were paying Chauncey Billups,
which is insane stuff, by the way. We're talking like X-ray glasses, a quarterback whispering in ears,
next level
stuff I didn't think was possible.
So they were bringing Chauncey Billups in as the draw of the games and getting these big poker players who are millionaires, or at least are throwing around millions of dollars. They were like, all right, you want to play poker with Chauncey Billups? Come play with us. And they were allegedly paying Chauncey Billups. And who knows if he knew about it or not, but he was involved in the game regardless. So that he's actually listed on the poker game indictment. His name is not mentioned in the NBA gambling scandal indictment, but he is listed as co-conspirator 8.
Well, I believe it references like a player who played in the NBA between, like it's Chauncey. They didn't name him, but
co-conspirator 8 is Chauncey.
Yeah,
and they identified him by saying everything about him on all his credentials except his actual name.
Correct.
But the reason why you don't list someone in indictments or name someone in indictments, even though that you presumably know the person, have this evidence around them, is because you potentially want them as a cooperating witness. And that means if you don't name someone, that means you're not actually charging them with anything. And the only reason you don't is because you want them as a cooperating witness to potentially flip on someone or give you some information. So I think because of that, what he might be able to help them with in a way, it doesn't mean he's going to snitch, but just help them with in that case, it could reduce the charges of the poker scheme game. And who knows what he knew, what he didn't know with what the nefarious activities were going on, but he was involved with it. So I don't think he's going to do any jail time. I do think he will never coach or be involved with the NBA in any capacity ever again. Terry Rozier is a whole different issue. He could do some jail time. It's like, again, he was getting paid $25 million a year and sacrificed it to get a bag of cash of $200,000. So
Insane.
a little ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not as sold that Chauncey is getting off scot-free. I think there is a world where he does
I mean,
jail
these guys
time.
just don't do jail time. Like, it's so
Sure.
rare for like high-profile people to do jail time unless they do some serious crime.
But also the FBI hit rate is pretty strong here. And I think there is a reason that this is the Rozier stuff's been on our radar for years to this point. This is 2023 stuff that they're talking about. And we've all heard the whispers of it. And there's been an NBA investigation. And the FBI does not strike until they have the book to throw at you. And I think that's why there was the wait. It is maddening to me. Like, why didn't you do this in the summer when there was nothing going on or between the season? Like, this did steal the spotlight of the league to an extent. But then again, like, it is what it is. The book does have to come down at some point. It's pretty absurd that, like, I can't believe this is how we're starting the NBA season overall.
This is the NBA.
Yeah.
Off-court drama will always dominate, and that's no different this week. And it's really a shame that it's a dark stain on the NBA's opening week. But again, I do think it's going to have, and it's hard to look that far in the future, but I do think it's going to have positive ramifications. Because again, this was connected to the Jonte Porter situation.
Correct.
Of last year. Was that 2 years ago? I don't even remember at this point. But this was all connected. This is the same case. It's the same organization that was approaching these players and saying, fix games or give us inside information.
The Malik Beasley stuff too.
Yeah, and he hasn't been charged with anything, so we don't know exactly what the connection is there.
And it's bizarre because, and shout out to Pablo Torre, who's been all over the place investigating everything, including this. Like, I did watch the Pablo Torre finds out about the Malik Beasley thing a couple months ago to this point.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about the Beasley situation is the where the money is traced on that specific situation or that specific game. It was an under on rebounds for 2.5 for him. He had 6 rebounds that game. And when you watch the tape, like, he looked like he was Dennis Rodman out there competing for boards. So I don't know how exactly you sort this up. We'll see. Go ahead.
Last thing I was just going to say is you asked me earlier, like, what's the potential resolution for this? It's impossible to avoid inside information being leaked. I mean, every single player and coach has friends, has family they talk to about, what's going on in this game? What you think about this upcoming game? This guy might not play. He's been battling an injury, so yada, yada, yada. It's when you're specifically using that information and telling people who you know are going to be placing bets, or tell other people who are going to be placing bets, and you're profiting off of that. That's when it becomes a serious issue. If you're just shooting around with your friends and talking about a game and your friend just goes place the bets based on that inside information, first off, there's no way to regulate that or avoid that. Second off, it's not really the biggest deal in the world because, look, there are limits to how much you actually bet on a lot of stuff, especially props. And you're like when they say fraud and who you're defrauding billion-dollar gambling organizations. So it's like, all right, I'm not going to have a lot of sympathy for that. But it's when you're actually using that information as a player, as someone who has inside information and knowing that someone's going to place a bet on it. That's when it becomes a problem. But the actual inside information that people are going to have and they're going to tell other people who might profit off it based off a bet that they place, that is not the biggest deal in the world, and it's not and it's unavoidable. It's really when you start to bring into question the integrity of the basketball being played, which is of course what Terry Rozier was doing because he knew someone was betting on him, so he was altering his performance to hit that bet. Right. That is the cardinal sin of the NBA, and that's when it becomes a serious issue, and that is avoidable and can be regulated, and hopefully they will moving forward.
Yeah, and a lot of what you're bringing up is like the Damon Jones situation in this, who was a teammate of LeBron James, a friend of LeBron James, and LeBron sort of been. I'm an anti-LeBron guy. I would be the first one to pile on. I don't think LeBron did anything wrong in this, at least from what has been brought publicly.
Yeah, probably not.
Like, I think the conversation was literally LeBron saying to Damon Jones, like, yeah, my ankle's hurting today. I'm probably not going. And then Damon Jones turns around and does what he does with that. That I don't think you can police. I just don't really think, or I don't see an avenue which you can. Of course, there are the injury report standards. And by the way, we see teams get fined for when they do not follow according to those. So like, that's kind of the crackdown on that there. It is a mess. It is bizarre. There's going to be a lot more to this, and we'll sort of evolve as we kind of get more
with the Damon Jones stuff, where he used the information to tell people and those people place bets, those bets were flagged. So that's the advantage of legalized gambling, and why you don't want to push that stuff offshore and underground, which is why you can't. Gambling isn't a bad thing, because this was happening before. Yep. And if you don't think otherwise, then you're just being naive on the situation. This was happening. You just couldn't flag it and catch it. And now you can catch it. Now these people are getting caught, and it should scare everyone else away around the NBA to never do this again.
And I also think like the government in itself needs to kind of have like a NBA brain in the mix for all this. Cause I was reading some of the book that came down or whatever whatever it's called, the indictment, whatever the thing is. And it's like talking about how the Portland Trailblazers were intentionally trying to lose because they were out of playoff contention. And it's like, okay, that's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah.
Like that can't be your smoking gun that you're going with here with the Chauncey Billups decision making. So there are these angles of like, I think that there does need to be a clear, let's get all our ducks in the row for what is exactly illegal, what is exactly immoral, what is stuff that we're kind of sorting through. So there's going to be a mess. This is only the start of this is what I keep circling back to.
Yeah, I'm with you. And look, again, we just went 30 minutes on an unbelievable week of NBA basketball and incredible games and so many storylines to get to. And we just went 30 minutes on this, but it's the biggest story. Like it just is right now because it was a very dark week for the NBA, and the league office probably has not slept a lot this week because they have to deal with the consequences of the aftermath. And I think the dominoes are still falling.
Yeah.
This story is far from over.
And I do believe a little bit like Adam Silver. I saw him getting questioned on the sideline. Certainly not the most comfortable interview that Adam Silver has ever done there, but he sort of deferred to like, we are in the National Basketball Association here. There's limitations to how much we can investigate. That like with the Rozier situation, we looked through his phone, we did a whole search, he was cooperative with it. But there are, when you're getting the FBI and actual law enforcement involved, like barriers you can cross for finding out the facts there.
That's referring to why the NBA has been under scrutiny, is because they investigated Terry Rozier and they cleared him. And then the FBI actually charged him. So it's like, all right, were you hiding something, NBA? Why did you clear this guy? But to your point, and it's what Adam Silver said. And look, I mean, obviously he's covering his tracks. He would say this anyway, but there is truth to it.
Yeah.
The FBI has subpoena powers.
Yeah.
They can make people talk.
Right.
They can get wiretaps. They can do all these things and have all these jurisdictions that the NBA just simply doesn't have. They with their investigative powers.
Yeah, and Silver will have to face the music at some point a little bit more than he has. Again, it's still developing. I keep trying to give a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, but that does connect with me logically for like why that this did go on, especially with them being named as cooperatives in this, that they were aware of this situation playing out as well. So I don't think that there's anything crazy shady about Terry Rozier kind of returning back to the court during that stretch of time, and now we'll see how things shake out. But man, Terry Rozier, dude, it's a bummer. I was a scary Terry guy. I'm big fan of him as a basketball player, and certainly believe that's the last time that we've seen him play in an NBA uniform there.
Yeah, I mean, one of the dumbest things that any NBA player has ever done.
Yeah, and that is there's a high bar for that in the NBA too.
Yeah.
We've seen plenty of dumb things done by NBA players, but I'll tell you what, let's switch gears a little bit here. Let's take a quick break on this side and get back to the action with some actual on-court conversation. So there's plenty to talk about in the league itself as far as the product of basketball being played. So rock with us for a nice 3.5 minutes here. Me and Sam will be back on the other side.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
A crash on the PA Turnpike westbound right between Route 1 and the Willow Grove exit. 2 left lanes were blocked by the crash. A 15-minute delay to get through it. The Vine Expressway eastbound jam, the Schuylkill to Broad Street. Construction is cleared on the Schuylkill eastbound at South Street. It's still backed up from Girard and Evans. Total traffic.
This report is sponsored by eBay. Swapping out your tires? There's nothing like it. With eBay, you find the feel you're looking for, from smooth highway rides to grip for rough terrain. Get all the tires you need at the prices you'll love. eBay, things people love.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Honey, that flu keeping you up? Did you take NyQuil Intense Flu?
Nah, I got this. Okay, I don't got this.
Yeah, you need NyQuil Intense Flu.
Undo your flu with NyQuil Intense Flu. NyQuil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms so you can sleep.
You do got this.
NyQuil Intense Flu. The nighttime sniffling, aching fever. Best sleep with the flu medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Football season is back, yes, but off the field, life can hit even harder at times. Car wreck, slip and fall, work injuries, yeah, they all happen. Don't sit on the sideline after being injured, though. Only one person to call. Call attorney Big Al, 1-800-HURT-123. Big Al gets the job done, and he picks up 24/7. Big Al brings the heat both on and off the field, and he wins. That's the most important part. One more time, 1-800-HURT-123. Call Big Al today.
It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month. LifeLock is here with tips to help protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication, report scams, and update your software. And for comprehensive identity protection, LifeLock is your best choice. LifeLock alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal information and fixes identity theft, guaranteed, or your money back. Start your protection today with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use promo code NEWS. Terms apply.
You need parts? O'Reilly has parts. Get one free set of brake pads when you buy 2 brake rotors. Upgrade to Brake Best Select pads for just $10. Or upgrade to Brake Best Select Pro or Import Direct pads for just $20. Product availability. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hey, man, you all right? Need me to call 911? No, call Top Dog Law. Get top dollar for your accident at topdoglaw.com. Once again, that's topdoglaw.com.
The Gambler. Philly's home for all things sports gambling. Your weekend sports edge starts here. This is Sean Bernard live on Fox Sports The Gambler.
And we're back on this side this time to talk some real NBA basketball in action here. Obviously, a lot going on behind the scenes and all over the place in the sports world. But Sam Oshtry, we got to dive into the association itself as we finally have some ball to talk about. So I want to toss this question to you. 1 week into the NBA season, the number one story that has emerged to you is what?
There's so many. Let's overreact, right? It's been 1 week of the NBA season. Most teams have played 2, some 3 games.
Celtics might go 0-82.
That's your NBA Finals pick.
Yeah, I don't actually think it's going to be happening.
Yeah, that was insane when you said it originally.
They'll be in the playoffs.
They should be. Peyton Pritchard's struggling. He's not making shots right now. And Jaylen Brown disappears for large stretches. But we're not talking about the Celtics. That's the biggest takeaway. I think we have to talk about Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah.
And you talk about the number one takeaway. The guy has already emerged as a top 4 to 5 player in the NBA.
Yeah.
And he is going to be the best player in the NBA for the next decade, starting probably next year. And we're going to have conversations when his career is all said and done that we have about LeBron James and Michael Jordan. He will be in the GOAT conversation.
Yeah.
This guy's on a whole nother level. I mean, he's legitimately 7'7".
Yeah.
Cooper Flagg was next. And Cooper Flagg's a good 6'8", 6'9", and he looked like he was tiny compared to him. There's nobody that can stop him. How he's developed his playmaking ability, he's already averaging 6 assists. And that was one of my big predictions coming into the year. Is he's going to double his assist numbers because his playmaking chops in the preseason, you really saw improve when he was drawing defenders in and kicking to guys. Him and Luke Cornett is such a dangerously big lineup. The inverted pick and roll those two guys run is really unguardable. He's also not settling from 3 anymore. The guy's getting downhill more than we've seen in his first 2 seasons in the NBA.
Physical with it too.
Super fit. He's bulkier. He's stronger. He's legitimately unstoppable. He is not fair. Like watching him play basketball, even that first game where he had the block and then he comes down, a couple behind the back moves, couple dribble moves. We're like, you shouldn't be dribbling the basketball at 7'7". Like, how can you dribble that efficiently and effectively at 7'7" and step back into an and 1-3, an absurd stretch? Last night, even he had 9 blocks. The guy he can score 40 to 50 whenever he wants.
Yeah.
But how he impacts the game on the defensive end, how defenders even try to challenge him at the rim. I mean, it's like the U-turn effect that most people do, where they come in, they see Victor step over in help, and they're going right back. They're like, I'm not shooting anything at the rim. He's the best defender in the league by a mile. It's not even fair. Like a guy his height, his length, should not have the dribble moves that he does, not have the touch that he does, not move as effectively and quickly, shouldn't be able to slide your feet like he does. It's just not fair. And so people say we've never seen anything like him. We literally have never seen anything like him. He is going to be the best player in the NBA for the next decade. And you have really seen the development from last year to this season when it was talked about all offseason, how much he worked on, the things he worked on, but you're finally seeing it materialize. The guy is on a different level.
Yeah, not only is it things we've never seen before on a basketball floor, but things that I didn't think were possible, man. Like, it is unbelievable. The block shot that he had on Derek Lively in the opener, who Derek Lively is like real deal 7'2".
Yeah.
It was like a push shot from like right in front of the rim with Wembanyama like sort of off balance in the situation. That's as ideal of a shot as you can get, and just swats it, erases it. There was a play last night where back-to-back players driving the basket with hard takes. I forget who the two players were, but Wembanyama just consecutive blocks there, centered away. You just don't score in the half court. You don't score in the paint when Victor Wembanyama is on the floor. He is a cheat code there. Now, I have two questions I want to bring up and throw your way from a Victor Wembanyama angle here. For starters, what would be a success for Victor Wembanyama's career, or what would be underwhelming? What does he have to do at the end with his resume for him to live up to what the hype is?
10 championships.
That's kind of where I'm at too.
6 MVPs. No, I mean, seriously, it's honestly disappointment if he's not talked about, if he's not a Hall of Famer. I mean, that is the bar, is that he's a Hall of Famer. And he's not a generational talent that really redefined how we even envision basketball and look at the game of basketball. And I mean, guys are bigger, like obviously compared to 10, 15 years ago. Bigger guys have more skill than we've ever seen. We've never seen anyone as big as him, his size, his height, have the skill that he does.
The movement.
But I really think that like, it's not really that he started this trend, but he might really take this trend to the moon of bigger guys having to have guard-like skills, where it's not the days of if you're a kid and you're one of these super tall guys, you're just going to be in the low post and be a rebounder and a screen setter. Like, you're developing skills as a big guy in a way that you weren't 10, 15 years ago. That's just the nature of how basketball is played, with the pace, with the space, and all that. So shout out to the name of our podcast, Pace and Space. So I genuinely believe the guy's going to be a Hall of Famer. Anything short of that would be a disappointment. He should win multiple MVPs, multiple championships when he finally gets the right help. And he does have a good amount of help this year. This is a good team. Stephon Castle was awesome in that opener. Dylan Harper, I really like his game.
De'Aaron Fox
hasn't even played yet. Yeah. And again, Luke Cornett, the actions that you can run with Luke Cornett and Victor Wembanyama is 2 7+ footers on the floor who have real, more so Wembanyama, but have real guard skills, is unbelievable. So this team is good now, but the minimum is multiple MVPs, multiple championships. Anything short of that would be disappointment. And I really think the only thing that can hold him back is injuries or any health issues.
Yeah, no, I think that's spot on. Like, you can pretty much pencil his name next to Defensive Player of the Year for the next decade here, as long as he plays 65 games. Yeah,
100%.
And I do think people have undersold the supporting cast to an extent. Like, Stephon Castle's the real deal, man. De'Aaron Fox is a legitimate all-star, a guy that I really believe in there. And Dylan Harper looks comfortable at a pretty rapid rate. I think Devin Vassell has some stuff to him. There are pieces there. The Cornett piece. Cornett rules.
Do you think they're a contender in the West?
I think they're a playoff team. I think they'll be in the mix. I don't think this is the year that they're like true contenders just out of how deep the West is. If they were an Eastern Conference team, they probably would be my favorite in the East right now. But the West is just such a bloodbath with all the talent there that I think probably not true contender for this year. But I do think they get their first playoff taste and get some scars built up.
They're not a contender in the West, and they'll definitely be a playoff team. But the reason why is a couple things. The three-point shooting isn't great. I mean, I think they shot 40% the first game and 30% last night. But still, they're not going to have the 3-point, not volume necessarily, but the 3-point accuracy that you need to make a deep playoff run. And that's only going to worsen when De'Aaron Fox comes back, because De'Aaron Fox is not going to help with the spacing or the 3-point prowess. And I think De'Aaron Fox, he's such an absurd contract, so I don't necessarily know how they would trade him and who would take that contract on.
Somebody will take it, De'Aaron.
Probably.
De'Aaron Fox is good.
He's good, but I do think that he could be the odd man out in San Antonio at this point. And I used to say that about Stephon Castle, but he's looked awesome through 2 games. So just in terms of he's not a great 3-point shooter. You need to surround Wemby with good shooters. That's a big reason why they won't make a deep playoff run. The other reason why they're not a contender is there is no precedent in NBA history for guys with no playoff experience, or a team with guys where the bulk of them have no playoff experience to make a run. Even the Thunder 2 years ago, when they made the playoffs for that first time, and they were the 1 seed with that group, they lost in the second round. And you have to go through some type of playoff scars. If you look all throughout NBA history, there is zero precedent for a group where most of the star players don't have playoff experience to make a deep run. And look, we talk about precedent. It's all thrown out the window when you're talking about Victor Wembanyama, but still, I couldn't see them making a real playoff run.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this is the year that they start to build up those scars and we start to throw them in that category. Also, shout out to our guy, Rocky the Birds fan in the chat with a little Jeremy Sohan love. Love Sohan as well. Really interesting player. They got talent down there. I will say, like, Stephon Castle was a guy I was sort of a skeptic of coming out of college. And the reason that I landed there is because he was determined to be a point guard. Like, he was making that message known to teams. I think he's accepted that, you know, I'm not. Like, I don't have to be. And even watching like his UConn film, which is why I was skeptical, they used him in like the dunker spot for a ton of those stretches there. He's a good player. He knows how to impact winning, and I think he's accepted that and fit in completely there. I do see something too, having the Dylan Harpers, De'Aaron Fox, and Stephon Castle be the guys that run up and down while Victor Wembanyama is just like the rim protector. So it's going to be a fun year no matter what. We'll see how it ultimately shakes out. And the second Victor Wembanyama question I want to throw your way. So Shohei Ohtani in baseball. Unbelievable here. One of the most individual talents of all time. And I will say,
talking baseball.
All right, I'll just throw the question at you. What is more impressive? What Shohei Ohtani is doing in the MLB or what Victor Wembanyama is doing in the NBA?
What Shohei's doing.
Okay.
Not like I'm the biggest baseball guy in the world, but Victor Wembanyama is 7'7". I mean, he does have, and it's rare where 7'7" guys, like we talked about, can move in that way, but he does have incredible physical advantages that it's just he was born with. Like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Of course, everything he developed and all the work he put in, but like he was born as a 7'7" guy. So it's like that's just ingrained into him. Shohei Ohtani, you're not born with the gift that he is as a baseball player, as both a pitcher and as a hitter. And so I think what Shohei's doing is more impressive. But I do think Victor Wembanyama could have a better career than Shohei. It's hard to compare the two sports, and obviously it's very different from an individualized perspective with baseball.
Yeah.
But I do believe Victor Wembanyama could have a better career than Shohei when it's all said and done. I saw the Blue Jays smacked him last night too.
They did. I was actually surprised. I landed watching a little bit of baseball last night, flipping on for the World Series. So yeah, the Blue Jays broke things open with a pinch hit grand slam, the first ever in World Series history. And I will note, Shohei Ohtani, bases loaded, grounded out the first. No runs. A big opportunity for him to kind of give the Dodgers a take there. But I did think that was an interesting conversation. Those are the two guys that I think are like the biggest aliens that I've seen in athletics. So I've never.
Yeah, and we have in the chat, I can't control the chat right now, but Jack said there's never been a Wemby. Which is true. There's never been a Wemby, but I'm just saying in terms of the physical limitations, or excuse me, the physical advantages that Wemby has that he was just born with, what Shohei is doing is probably a little more impressive.
This is what I'm going to take.
And there never will be another one. There never has been a Wemby, and there probably never will be a Wemby.
This is what I think the closest I can get to a take for like a player comparison, because you're right, there is not one. I think Victor Wembanyama is the Wilt Chamberlain of our times. And the reason that I say that is my grandfather, who is like all-time sports guy, like watched it, has covered it, talked about it, been to games, all that. He swears up and down like Wilt Chamberlain is the best basketball player that he's ever seen.
Plumbers.
Sure.
White guys.
Sure. But he will swear up and down, like more impressive than Michael Jordan, more impressive than LeBron James, just the physical things that he can do. I think that's how I'm going to talk about Victor Wembanyama when things are said and done. If I do not believe the things that he makes look routine, the things that we see on a night-to-night basis, and we're still at the very early portion of this.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, it's not even a question, but the competition now compared to when Wilt Chamberlain was playing in the 50s is night and day. The NBA and the skill of NBA players is as great as it's ever been. So it's not just like Wilt Chamberlain was bigger than everyone else and just dominating because he was bigger than everyone else. With Victor Wembanyama, the skill level is on a whole nother level. Yeah, he's bigger than everyone else, but the skill level is also on a whole nother level, doing things that no one at his size should ever be able to do.
Yeah, no, 100% there. Now, speaking of Wilt Chamberlain here, one of the many records that
I know where you're going with this.
Wilt Chamberlain does hold is the most points ever in an NBA debut with 43 that Wilt Chamberlain dropped. Well, in third place on this list is our boy right here in Philadelphia, Valdez Drexel Edgecombe Jr. VJ Edgecombe with one of the most impressive debuts, probably the most impressive individual debut that I've ever seen. The only two guys that are ahead of him played in the 50s here that we're talking about. Edgecombe did not look afraid whatsoever, scored 34 points in the debut, was everywhere defensively, all over the place on both sides of the ball. What were your initial impressions of Edgecombe, and what did you see in that Celtics debut?
How comfortable he was as a rookie in that spot. And we talked about it. We did a live post-game show after, and we talked about his ability to recognize switches and just go, because his straight line speed is unbelievable. I mean, there was a moment where he saw Xavier Tillman was switched onto him, slow-footed big, immediately called for the ball and just went blow by, bucket right by him. How effective he is in transition, where him and Tyrese Maxey are the fastest backcourt in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys were unbelievable. I don't have the stat in front of me right now, but I think Tyrese Maxey was scoring in that first game over 2 points per possession in transition.
Wow.
Which is unbelievable.
He's
so effective in transition. And again, we were talking about VJ Edgecombe as a playmaker, because part of the Celtics rim protection strategy this year, and we saw it in game 1 against Philly, was that they don't have a lot of bigs. They are a very small team. They got killed on the boards, offensive glass against the Knicks last night. They are rim protection by committee. They don't have some Kristaps Porzingis to protect the rim anymore. They are rim protection by committee, which is they're packing the paint because of how small they are. For VJ Edgecombe to recognize that immediately, and there's so many plays that we can point to where he was getting downhill and just making the right read, and it sounds so simple, but for a guy to recognize defensive coverages and make the right read consistently in his first ever NBA game is so rare. His feel for the game is off the charts. And then the shooting, that was the biggest concern from him coming out of college, was the shooting. He wasn't a very good three-point shooter. The guy drilled 5 threes. I still have some questions about his release point and his shot and all that, but he had a lot of confidence in it. Off the dribble, he made a few.
Not afraid to
off
take
the catch.
them.
Absolutely. He attempted 13, and he made 5 of them. So if that develops in this game, this guy could be a legitimate all-star guard.
Oh, yeah. No, I think we are on that trajectory, on that path again. You cannot ask for a better debut there. And also another thing that stood out is something VJ talked about quite a bit, is how he hated the spacing in college, how he felt like he could not attack the rim at the rate in which he wants to. And when you watch his Olympic film, that tells the story as well. It backs up his point. We saw that in full, just right in front of us at the NBA level. Is you're going to get primetime space in the NBA. People have to respect these guys as shooters, and he made the most of that. I think that's going to open up everything in his game. And I'm with you that I think that the shooting is still a work in progress to an extent, but I was encouraged by what I saw. The fact that he's not afraid, he's going to work through him, he's going to launch him, are all great things there. And I also do not want it to get lost. Tyrese Maxey, 40 points, man. A guy that I think has a case, or at this current point, is in those same conversations that we're having with the best players in the league, that he has looked a part of that. And I get there, it will settle down to an extent here. But what impressed me the most about Tyrese Maxey in that game is every time the tides felt like they started to turn, where the Celtics were ready to punch things open, where it was going to get to the point where this game could get out of hands, it was Tyrese Maxey hitting back-to-back threes and letting everybody know about it, that there was energy, there was fired up. He is ready to be the face of the Sixers franchise. And we are now talking about the Maxey and Edgecombe backcourt of the future.
Yeah, it was really impressive because it really masked all the issues that we saw with Joel Embiid, where he really struggled. I mean, he looked awful. And it's we're not even talking about that. We're not even leading with that with the Sixers conversation because of what we saw from that backcourt with Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe. And that's without Jared McCain.
Yeah.
He's still hurt. And he's probably going to come off the bench and be really effective, and even better because he's a common guard, but he really excels off the ball with how much his movement, his relocation, all that stuff. So playing alongside guys like VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey, who have the type of downhill speed that they do, is going to open up so much for Jared McCain. So I'm really excited to watch him pair with those two guys. And all of that is masking the problems with Joel Embiid, which is this guy can't really play basketball anymore from what we've seen.
All right,
and look,
we're not there.
The jury's still out, not at the level that he's never play basketball at the level that we saw post injury 2 seasons ago.
He won't win MVP again. I can get there. I'm not.
I don't
saying,
think he'll ever be an all-star level again. It's hard to imagine.
Well, yeah, I'm not there yet. I need to actually see. It's what I can't figure out where I exactly land on this. He looked, just from a movement perspective, not even basketball, and obviously the stats came with it, but the preseason game, I had hope again. I was like, he's moving okay. We can see him fluid around the floor, reading the game well. And then I get it's preseason, you're going against third stringers, but just the way that he was around the floor was night and day different in that regular season opener. I have not seen him on any sort of injury report ahead of tonight. Do you have any expectations for what he will look like? Do you think it's going to be more of the same from game 1?
I mean, you want to see him ramp up a little bit just in terms of his comfortability out there, which is the most important thing. And that's part of that is the touches that he's getting and where he's getting them. And there was a moment, we talked about this the other night, but there was a moment against the Celtics where he had a switch on to Sam Hauser and he couldn't even get position on him. It was barely calling for the ball. And then he eventually did get the ball because his teammates recognized he had the switch, and he couldn't even effectively score on Sam Hauser's switch. He used to dominate switches like that. When their smalls would guard him, he was so effective against those guys. And you had Sam Hauser on him, and he could barely get a bucket. It was like he didn't get a bucket. It was really discouraging to see from that first performance. I hope that that's just one game where he's just getting his feel back, slowly getting into it. It's why he was settling a lot, shooting a lot of threes, not really playing through the mid post like he likes to do, back to the basket stuff. But you would hope that he naturally develops more into that and just gets more comfortable where he can, like by game 10 or 15, he's playing with his teammates, he can dominate again. But it's hard to imagine that we're ever going to get at that point based on what we've seen over the last year.
Yeah, he's not going to get there by not playing. So we have to kind of live through the bumps.
Like if he's
in the
out
roads.
tonight, it's like, all right, like what are we doing? If he's out tonight, he's never going to get in a rhythm and get comfortable again. If he's playing one game, sitting two, playing two games, sitting three, it's not reasonable. So I hope he's playing tonight.
I'll also note, like, historically, Joel has been a slow starter to seasons. So he's always been a guy that has taken a couple games to get a rhythm there.
It's true.
I'm just not ready to panic yet. It certainly was a discouraging view on the opener. It did not look like the way that we wanted it to be whatsoever there. The last Sixers point I wanted to bring up here, Quentin Grimes, man. There was a lot of pomp and circumstance this summer about the contracts. A lot of criticism directed at Daryl Morey for not locking this guy up to a long-term deal. And I will admit that I think the best case for both sides was still to come to some sort of agreement. But where the conversation broke down is when Quentin Grimes said, I want to make $30 million per year to play basketball for the Philadelphia 76ers. There just is not a world where Quentin Grimes is that caliber of basketball player. Daryl Morey sort of felt that out and said, I'll roll the dice and have you prove it again this year. Saw Quentin Grimes have 1 point at halftime, had 10 points overall in the game. I did think he played fine in the second half of that game, but I was sort of laughed at all summer with the take of what happens if VJ Edgecombe is just from day one better than Quentin Grimes. Well, from day one, he looked better than Quentin Grimes, in my opinion, right there. So I kind of want to applaud Daryl Morey with a little bit for the way that he went about this. Obviously, McCain's still waiting in the wing. We'll see how this ultimately concludes. We got a full season and offseason to get into. But I do think Daryl might have played his cards correctly here.
Especially because Quentin Grimes is asking for an absurd amount of money per year, like $25 million or something.
Yeah.
No team in the NBA, even if they have cap space, is playing him that because he's not worth it. And I don't think he didn't want to come back on the Sixers on this 1 year deal because he knew it was a crowded backcourt, which could potentially hurt his stock and his opportunities. And so going into next offseason, when he is a free agent, is looking for the biggest payday he can get, he's probably not going to be coming off of the best year just because of the opportunities are going to be limited to him with Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, when McCain comes back. Paul George still hasn't even played yet. So I do think he's going to be pretty upset when he enters next offseason and sees what the market actually is for him, because it's certainly not going to be $25 million.
But it never was. Like,
I think it was always a ridiculous ask.
Like, this dude is on his fourth team in 4 NBA seasons. I like Quentin Grimes. I do think he's a legitimate NBA player, probably a low-end starter, maybe top-end bench guy. I don't think he's more than that. And I think that he needs to be aware of that to an extent. So, and also there was sort of the concern for what if this guy just shot trucks to try and coat the stats, up his market. Anybody that's interested in getting involved in the Quentin Grimes business is going to want him for the role that he's going to be asked to play here still. Like, I think we sort of saw the peak of what it can be when he's putting up empty calorie statistics. They won 3 games across the 28 that he did play, putting up these absurd numbers here. It's nice that he showcased that he could do that, and there will be probably opportunities this year where he is asked to scale up his offensive role. But I think the Grimes conversation got a bit out of control, and that Daryl Morey was looked at in a very critical light in a way that I don't think deserved to be the case.
Yeah, I think he played his hand well, which was a hardball stance in those negotiations, and that was the right move.
Yeah,
because they're probably going to clear him off the books, and he'll probably be elsewhere next season. The last point about the Sixers, what we saw in the game, was all offseason we heard about how they want to get younger and more athletic, and you actually saw that come to fruition in the opener, where they were out in transition, running, playing really hard defensively. Even though it wasn't always great, they're playing hard defensively. They just looked so much more youthful, and they had this energy about them that you didn't see last year because they were an old, sluggish team. Andre Drummond only played 2 minutes. Kyle Lowry didn't play in the opener. Eric Gordon didn't play in the opener. Those guys shouldn't be playing. Get your young guys out there and play with that type of fast-paced energy that you said you were going to all offseason. So that they wanted to get younger, more athletic, and you saw a younger, more athletic version of the Sixers 2 nights ago.
And closer to the Nick Nurse identity, too, of generating turnovers, running the fast break.
Yes.
That is when that's what he wants as an identity as a team. And they really have not brought him the proper personnel to execute that. Thought that we're finally shaping towards that. So very encouraged from the start for the Sixers. Obviously, just one game in the books. This is before game 2 against the Charlotte Hornets tonight. We'll see what happens from there. We're going to take a quick bow and put it on the Sixers. We got plenty more NBA to talk about, but we're going to take a break on this side. Hang with me and Sam through this quick break. We'll be right back on the other side.
The Bonus Bucks Cash Contest is back. That's right. Every weekday, we're dropping code words and your shot to score a quick stack of bonus bucks. Hear it, text it, and you could be counting cash before the day's over. It's easy to play. Big money on the line. 9 times a day, top of the hour. Hear the keyword, and you could win $1,000. Your shot at bonus bucks all fall long right here on The Gambler.
He's gonna stretch your dollar and make it holler.
I'm Gary Barbera.
And now he's gonna put your rear in a Wrangler, a Ram, a Cherokee, even a Grand Cherokee.
Oh, mama!
Starting at just $16,666. I guess you could say Barbera's gonna push your tush, right, Birds Coach Nick?
It's a stud.
Try that again.
Boy, I guess.
That's better.
Barbera!
Wranglers, Rams, Cherokees, even Grand Cherokees from $16,666.
I'm not kidding.
DallasStillSucks.com.
6666 tax tag and $477 dock fee. Supplies last. Details at DallasStillSucks.com.
Gary Barbera te va a meter el trasero en un Wrangler.
Ram, Cherokee, even Grand Cherokee. Starting at $16,666. So push your tush to Barbera. You're going to save a bucket of bucks.
It's a stud.
Yeah, we know. Do the thing, Coach Nick.
This is Coach Sirianni. Is Barbera the best? Boy, I guess.
Your one stop for advertising? Call 844-844-iHeart.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take Dayquil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Ugh, okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the Dayquil.
Undo your flu symptoms with Dayquil Intense Flu. Dayquil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms.
I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
Dayquil Intense Flu. The daytime coughing, aching, fever, under your flu, medicine. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
Back to school time means more traffic on the roads. Streets are packed and accidents are up on the rise. If you or a loved one are involved in any accident whatsoever, Uber, Lyft accident, car wreck, slip and fall, only one man to call. That's 1-800-HURT-123. Call my man Big Al. No fee until Big Al wins, and that's what exactly he does. Once again, 1-800-HURT-123. Call Big Al today.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code USE5 to get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code USE5 to get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's code USE5 to get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank.
Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Those people are probably saving a carload of cash right now. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Sports on iHeartRadio.
Shohei Ohtani, the stuff of legend.
Baseball, the start of the NBA season, huge college football rivalries, and of course, the NFL.
Touchdown, Denver! Holy mackerel!
Don't miss a second of the greatest reality show on the planet. Sports, play-by-play, podcasts, and local stations where you can join the conversation with real people.
How is he still our coach?
Open the free iHeart app and search your favorite league to start listening.
Spreads, totals, and all the prop bets in between. It's The Gambler.
Time now for your Saturday BetMGM Baseball Buzz. Tonight in Toronto, Game 2 of the World Series. Blue Jays and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Yoshinobu Yamamoto on the mound for the Blue. Step up to the plate and enjoy MLB World Series action like never before with BetMGM, an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Just log into your account throughout the World Series to find boost and tokens in your account. Use them by adding the required bet on any World Series game to your bet slip and activating your token. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. This promotional offer is not available in Mississippi, New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. For New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. For Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP. For Massachusetts, 1-800-327-5050. For Iowa, 1-800-BETS-OFF. For Puerto Rico, 1-800-981-0023. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards vary and expire in 7 days. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. And that's your Saturday BetMGM Baseball Buzz.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
All your favorite NBA players are back, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is the place to bet on NBA stars this season. With more markets open for more of the game, DraftKings, the #1 sportsbook for live betting, is live when others aren't. New customers bet just $5 and get 3 months of NBA League Pass. Plus, score $300 if your bet wins. Paid in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code SPORTS1480. That's code SPORTS1480. Bet $5 and get 3 months of League Pass. Plus, get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, Pennsylvania only. Eligibility and restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. NBA League Pass auto renews until canceled. Additional terms at dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
Honey, that flu keeping you up? Did you take NyQuil Intense Flu?
Nah, I got this. Okay, I don't got this.
Yeah, you need NyQuil Intense Flu.
Undo your flu with NyQuil Intense Flu. NyQuil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms so you can sleep.
You do got this.
NyQuil Intense Flu. The nighttime sniffling, aching fever. Best sleep with the flu medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
This is Doug Gottlieb. Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network.
Presented by Mercedes-Benz.
The defending World Series champion Dodgers begin their quest to repeat tonight against the Blue Jays in Toronto. When the Eagles meet the Giants on Sunday, they will not have wide receiver A.J. Brown. He's been ruled out of the game because of a hamstring injury. The Sixers get back to work tomorrow night for their home opener against Charlotte. Philly hopes to build momentum off an opening night win over Boston. I'm Frank Garrity.
Looking for an exceptional driving experience? Find it behind the wheel of a Mercedes-Benz SUV. Experience the power, precision, and intelligence of an iconic Mercedes-Benz SUV at your local Mercedes-Benz dealer today.
According to the National Fire Protection Association, a house fire is reported every 95 seconds. Yet, 40% of people believe they are more likely to win the lottery or get struck by lightning than experience a home fire. As a global leader in fire safety, Kidde believes this is cause for alarm. Having the right amount of working smoke alarms in your home can help you protect your family. Learn more and get involved at causeforalarm.org. Together, we can help make every home a safer home.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
#1 on your car radio preset and the new and improved iHeart Radio app. WDAS and WD273D Philadelphia is Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. You're locked in with Sean Barnard live, Saturdays 11 to 1 on Fox Sports The Gambler.
And we're back for more NBA overreactions through the first week of the season. My name is Sean Barnard right here on Fox Sports The Gambler, as well as if you're listening on PickSwap Media on the YouTube or either of our Twitter accounts we are streaming on. Got Sam Oshtry with me ready to close down shop for himself. He'll be peacing out of here at 12:30 before I shut down things all by myself at the end here. But we got more NBA to talk about. And Sam, I'm going to open up this conversation with a takeaway myself to get your reaction. Luka Doncic is going to win MVP this season.
It's possible. The only thing that could get in the way is the minimum win requirement, which is an arbitrary number. There's not actual win requirement, but you have to usually have been a top 2 to 3 seed in the league, and there's been rare exceptions. Jokic won it 1 year as a 6 seed. Westbrook won it 1 year as a 6 seed, and that's possible for it to happen to Luka. That's the only thing that's going to hold him back from winning the MVP. Because for the Lakers to forget about contending, this Lakers team cannot contend. For the Lakers to be a playoff team, Luka Doncic has to be the best or one of the top 3 players in the NBA. And he's been like that the last 2 games. Yeah. That's why they were competing for a while in game 1. And that's why they beat the Timberwolves last night. What do you have, 49 last night?
Yeah, 49, 11, and 8, I believe.
He's on a whole nother level right now. The pace that he plays with, he has complete control of the game in a way that it's really rare to see anyone in the NBA do at this point. So I've been exceptionally impressed with him. His body looks good. He looks like he's in good shape, and we'll see as the year goes on. It's obviously early, but I don't think that's a crazy take at all. Like, he can absolutely win the MVP this year, and he needs to be an MVP candidate for the Lakers to be in contention.
Yeah, I entered the season with my preseason pick being Giannis winning MVP, with the thought process of this dude's going to have to do superhuman things for this team to be relevant. I think I can make the case that the Lakers roster is worse than the Milwaukee Bucks, and neither I would say
without LeBron for sure.
Yeah, without putting LeBron to the side for this, and who knows when he is returning. I've heard zero sort of updates on that, and I do think this could be something that drags out. But Luka Doncic, man, he is that dude. He's been that dude. He's always been that dude. But he looks ready to drag this team behind him. He is going to put up some ridiculous stat lines. He does look like he's moving a little bit better to me. He does look like he's lost a little bit of weight. That's sort of how I see the stars aligning. But I will note, like, the Bucks have kind of impressed me as well, that maybe they did a better job with their roster than I was kind of giving them credit. But I do think this is more of an indictment on the Lakers roster as a whole. Shout out to Luka Doncic for being ready. Do you think this just drags on this LeBron stuff forever?
Probably.
Yeah.
Like, for a while, because he's obviously not happy with the organization and how the organization is treating him in his mind. So I do think he's going to milk it out a little bit, and he's going to kind of see how the Lakers look in the first month. If the Lakers are winning, Lakers are winning a lot without him, though. Like, I don't mean a lot, but if Lakers are like a top 4 seed in the West in a month where LeBron hasn't even played yet, he's going, oh, maybe this team actually doesn't need me. Like, maybe they have a point of why they're not treating me well. And what he means by them not treating him well is they're not signing to him to an extension. And the Lakers, by all accounts, are getting off of the LeBron James business after this year, which is the smart and right decision for the Los Angeles Lakers. But if he looks at this and goes, oh, they're winning without me, it's like he might have to come back. He might have to prove his value if he even wants another contract, which is crazy to say. Well, of course, the team will sign him wherever. He is going to come back at some point. I don't know exactly when, but I can absolutely see him dragging it out a little bit.
It is always very funny to me how things get sugar-coated and worded nicely. It always just comes down to money, man. It's always about a player wanting a contract and an organization refusing to give it to him. You can talk about basketball joy if you want to be Jimmy Butler. You can phrase it however you want, but that's always what it comes down to, and that's the exact same situation here. Now, with like the LeBron conversation, it's going to annoy me. It's going to be frustrating. I also can tell you how the team's going to look. Jackson Hayes isn't going to magically develop a jumper. Dalton Connect's not going to magically figure out how to play defense. That this is your team. You've played with these guys pretty much in its entirety here. Luka Doncic is going to give you a puncher's chance. If you want in on the Luka Doncic vision, I don't see a world where there's any other like options for him. We're obviously in the season now, and he opted into his option. Let's not forget that he chose to be here at the end of the day. So I don't know. I'm kind of sick of the LeBron thing. I do think it's going to drag out. I do think this is Luka's team. But to transition over from that, Luka's former team here.
Yeah, well, real quick, before we can hop off the Lakers, I do think that's kind of the recipe of what we saw last night. And look, 50 points in a game from Luka isn't reasonable. But in terms of the production we saw from Luka and complemented by Austin Reeves, who had 25 points last night, an efficient 25, and I thought looked really good. I think those two things together are the key for the Lakers to make a little run, because they're not going to have a lot of offensive help from a lot of places. Rui Hachimura had a really good game last night. He's capable of that. Gabe Vincent is capable of having good shooting nights. DeAndre Ayton rebounded and defended much better yesterday. But again, I don't really think he's a guy you're going to rely on offensively for that scoring production. So it's really going to have to be Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic. And that's the recipe of what they showed last night, where they were much better defensively and those two guys leading the show. But again, 50 points from Luka Doncic is not reasonable every night, but he's going to have to average 35 to 37 points per game.
Oh, yeah. I think so for sure. By the way, DeAndre Ayton might be my 1-1 for toughest watch in the NBA. It's brutal.
He's gotten worse every year somehow, I think, since he came to the league. Or since
Like
the
more
Suns
miserable.
made the finals. At
Yeah.
least.
He looks more miserable. Like, I hate watching him play basketball, and I very rarely feel that about players. So whatever. We'll put that to the side. Do want to transition to Luka Doncic's former team in the Dallas Mavericks, who have not exactly gotten off to the start that they wanted to here. I want to lead with the Cooper Flag point guard experience. To me, makes zero sense whatsoever. I frankly think you're doing the kid a disservice. I think Jason Kidd is looking at this through the Giannis mindset of like, he really improved as a playmaker when you just forced him to be the guy to bring up the ball until he ended up capable of doing that. I just don't see any world where Cooper Flag is going to be in that role long term. And by the way, once Kyrie Irving returns to the team this season, he's no longer going to be doing that. So I hate that they're throwing him in a bad spot. There should be no world where Cooper Flag is dribbling the ball up the floor and Stephon Castle's like trying to pick his pocket like that. I've been maddening by that, and obviously the team's sort of feeling the effects of it. What are you thinking about the Dallas Mavs and Cooper Flag specifically?
I'm not going to take a victory lap 2 games into the season, but as we're overreacting here, I said before the year, I do not get the Mavs hype at all. I mean, there were people, legitimate national NBA media guys, saying this team could make the finals. This team could be one of the best teams in the West. It's a contender. I don't even have this team in the play-in. I don't even think this is a play-in team, let alone a playoff team. And a big reason is because of the roster construction. I get the height that you're doing with Anthony Davis and Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford and all these guys, and you're just trying to get big. Where is the scoring from? Where's the shot creation coming from? Anthony Davis is at his best when he's playing the 5, not the 4.
Don't tell him that.
But it's true. And everyone knows that. Everyone recognizes that. He's paired alongside Derek Lively right now, but there were stretches yesterday he played the 5 for sure. But that's because Daniel Gafford is not even healthy yet. When he comes back, it's like you're not going to have too many opportunities if you want to play both Gafford and Lively with Anthony Davis playing the 5 solely. So, and even with Anthony Davis playing the 5, there was a reason when he was paired with LeBron James, that team of the last 3 seasons couldn't get above a 7th seed in the West. You can't run actions through Anthony Davis consistently. You're not creating an offense or catering an offense to Anthony Davis. It's just not realistic. He's not that guy. He can't be a hub in the way that Jokic is or Embiid when he's completely healthy, or even like an Alperen Sengun now. He has limitations to his creation ability. So when you're a big team, you're going to be good defensively. It's going to be hard to score at you at the rim. Where's the offense coming from? And that was my big concern with the Mavericks. They were relying solely as their best primary shot creator on a rookie. And I love Cooper Flag. I don't care about the early season struggles. I think he's going to be a great player, but he's still a rookie. Yeah. You can't rely on that type of shot creation from a rookie. And D'Angelo Russell is your second guy. Like, we've seen enough D'Angelo Russell in this league, and that's until Kyrie Irving comes back. We don't know when that's going to be. It could be March earliest, and the Mavs season might be done by March. So I was really skeptical of this team. I thought it was relying way too much on a rookie as your shot creator, as your primary point guard. And to your point, that's not really his game. Right. Like he can play the 1 for sure. He can play on ball a lot, but he shouldn't be the guy who's the table setter, who's getting everyone organized as your 1. He can play that role in reps, not for most of the game, which is the Mavs are trying to do with them. And it's not even the Mavs' fault necessarily. It's more just because they have no one else. They don't have anyone else who can consistently play the 1 and be a primary shot creator for long stretches. So I feel for Cooper Flag in the situation he's in. I did not get the buy-in with this Mavs team. I didn't even think this team is a play-in team. And through 2 games, they look like they have a really tough time scoring the basketball, which is going to be difficult for them the rest of the year. And the last point is, the fire Nico Harrison chance. I've already started 2 games in the season. I don't think he's going to last this entire year, at least not through the next offseason. He'll be out of there. He's the worst general manager in the history of the NBA basketball because he made the worst move in the history of the NBA. So he'll be gone, and he has constructed a really poor roster for this year.
He still ain't touching the Colangelos in the worst general manager conversation.
Oh, yeah, he is. he made the worst move in NBA history. He's the worst general manager in NBA history.
You're right.
And he probably does have burners out there somewhere if someone really investigated.
You're probably right about that, too. To be clear, like, none of my take leading up to this was a skepticism of Cooper Flag directly. I just don't like the role he's being used in or, like, what he's being asked. I don't think it's fair to him or the best thing for the team here. As far as, like, the Mavs' overall outlook, I've certainly been more positive than you. But the bucket that, like, I throw him in is I do think that the regular season is going to be a grind for him. What I do think is when you get them in a playoff series, that team is going to be a nightmare to try and get out because of how physical are, because of how much they're going to battle. And they still got Kyrie coming back at some point, which is going to be a huge lift to the offense. Klay Thompson will still have a couple nights where he gets red hot here. It's going to be better than it started, but I certainly hear you. It has not been pretty to this point. Also, I'm not going to I'm not going to overreact, but Anthony Davis, man, getting old, has an injury track record.
And getting FAT.
Yeah.
He looks big.
Yeah, I was going to
Like-
come at it more of like the motion. Like he doesn't look like he's moving like the player they need him to be. Is I guess where I'll settle on.
The irony of it is that they traded Luka Doncic because he couldn't get in shape because of his weight concerns. And then Anthony Davis comes into camp. And look, I'm not saying he's out of shape or fat or anything, but he does not, like to your point, he does not look like he's moving the Anthony Davis that we know.
Right.
And he looks like it's visible how much bigger he looks. And this is already a guy that has a lot of injury history. So things are ugly in Dallas, and they will be for a while until Nico Harrison gets out. But the positive is that Cooper Flagg still would be that guy.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's the guy that's going to be the face of the franchise for the foreseeable future whenever that transition does happen there. But yeah, the Anthony Davis panic watch, I'm kind of sneaking into that conversation of this does not look like the dude that they need him to be. And we obviously always knew that he was not Luka Doncic in the first place. Now, let's transition a couple other areas of the league here. I want to give a little bit of love to Anthony Edwards. It does feel like Anthony Edwards specifically and the Minnesota Timberwolves have sort of become the forgotten team. That this is a team has made deep playoff runs for several consecutive seasons. That it's kind of interesting to me that I felt like Edwards at the start of things was almost pushed a little bit too rapidly. And now I feel like he's not getting nearly the love that he deserves. He's added layers to his game year in and year out. He's off to an incredible start to this season here. The Timberwolves are still right there in that Western Conference mix. And Anthony Edwards is still right there among the top players in the entire NBA.
Yeah, I think he was overshadowed a little bit by Luka's performance yesterday. Even though he had a classic Anthony Edwards game, 31, 5, and 4. He's a top 5 player in the league to me. I think we discussed that when we did our top 20 rankings, that he has added an element to his game every single year. It's the 3-pointer that he added last year, and now it's the mid-range that he's clearly added through 2 games of the year. And he talked about it all offseason is how he had to get to his mid-range spots and incorporate the fadeaway into his game, and he's done it. So I'm a huge Ant Edwards fan. I think he's the reason why the Timberwolves are one of those contenders in the West. And how I break down as the West is I think there's 5 teams that can make the championship, and I wouldn't be shocked if any of them make it. And you let me know what you think about this.
Yeah, I think I'm going to bump one off, but I'll let you.
All right, so my 5 teams are the Nuggets, Thunder, Warriors, Rockets, and Timberwolves. And I have the Lakers and Clippers and Spurs just outside of there. You have a problem with one of those 5?
I don't. I thought Clippers was in your mix, and I was about to toss them out there because that was going to be another take of mine. They should be competing in a retirement home league, not the NBA. That team looks embarrassing, dude. They look like they don't care. And I get it's James Harden, man. We've been through the James Harden story here in Philadelphia. They will find their stride and have a couple stretches where they look really good, but the age of that roster is insane. And I really think the Clippers could be the team that if they do not get their act together quickly, could be on the outside looking out or outside looking in from a playoff perspective.
Chris Paul had a classic Chris Paul game at this age last night.
What, 5 and 5?
No, 20 points. 20. Really? My bad, not 20 points. 20 minutes, 8 assists, 0 points.
Okay.
So just dishing all over the place, but he can't really give you much. Bradley Beal can't give you much anymore. Brooke Lopez doesn't look great. You're right. This is a retirement home roster right now, and they beat the Suns yesterday, a bad Suns team, and the only reason was because they get 30 from Kawhi and James Harden each. 30 from James Harden, 27 from Kawhi. Those 2 guys are also older, and for them to compete in the West, they have to have that type of production every single night. And I just don't know if at this age and this stage of each of their careers, they're capable of doing that on a consistent basis. So John Collins was a big get for them, Collins. And I like his game, but I thought people were completely discounting shipping Norman Powell out, who had an all-star level season last year, and he did it while Kawhi Leonard was out for a lot of the season. He was the number 1 guy. It was James Harden run the show, and Norman Powell was the go-to scorer for that team. So I think people kind of just discounted that, and I was not high on this Clippers team coming in, and I'm still not.
I think Norman Powell is more of like a culture setter than he gets credit to, because Miami, dude, hitting the ground running here. Davion Mitchell looked incredible too. And Tyler Hero will eventually be coming back, and they kind of have something. But I'm kind of used to the Heat being the team that sleepwalks through the regular season and then, does their thing from a postseason perspective. It looks like they're bringing the punch right out of the opening gate. So shout out to the Heat. Do have their eyes on them, and that could be a team that capitalizes on a wide open Eastern Conference there. I got a couple more I want to rattle through, but any that you want to jump in here with an NBA take?
No, keep hitting me.
All right, let's talk about your New Orleans Pelicans here.
Okay.
Zion Williamson looks good, man. He
does.
should be one of the best players in the NBA.
And this is an 0-2 team we're talking about that I'm actually really encouraged by.
I agree with all that. When you look at their roster on paper, this should be a good basketball team, man. Like, you run down the list of like actual competent players they have, but it has not come together to this point. And injuries have certainly been a factor with this. Why can't the Pelicans be a playoff team? Tell me that, Sam.
They can. They absolutely can. And I like this Pelicans team a lot if Zion Williamson can stay healthy, which obviously is one of the bigger ifs of the NBA. But he looks good. He looks athletic. He's moving well. Just off the tip yesterday, he dunked all over Wemby.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's not scared to go at Wemby and put that poster on him was really impressive. But I like this roster too. When you talk about Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, Jordan Poole even, who's been the laughingstock of the NBA for the last 5 years, it seems, but he knows his role with the Pelicans. He's not a guy who's going to be playing the one jacking shots like he is coming, like he did with Washington, or like he was at the end with the Warriors and how that all ended. He is a guy who knows his role. He's playing off the catch a lot more because they're playing Zion at the point, which I really like. I really like the point Zion experiment. And then you have Jeremiah Fears, who I was not super high on coming out of college, super young. I thought it was going to take a while, but he already looks like he's an impact player for this team. Derek Queen looked really good last night. This roster is a solid roster. I think they could easily be in the play-in if Zion stays healthy. Again, that's a big if, but he looks like his body is as good as it's ever been since he came into the NBA. So this is going to be a fun team to monitor all year.
Yeah, it's bummed me out, sort of the trajectory of the franchise, that it did feel like they were trending in the right direction, that they were kind of punching on the outside. I think the Clippers eliminated them in the play-in for a season, and like they were sort of in that mix. That I do want to believe in Willie Green as a coach, and I think he's a guy sort of coaching for his job this year if they do take another step back or do not live up to expectations. But the talent is there, and Jordan Poole is such a fascinating player, man. Like, I think that being punched in the face by Draymond and all the after effects that came with it, like, truly changed the trajectory of his career. Like, think about, there was a stretch where on a legitimate contending team with the Warriors, he was the guy. He was during their championship, their final championship. Yeah,
and because of how it ended with the Draymond punch, people completely discounted that.
Yeah,
they don't win that NBA Finals without him.
Yeah, there were stretches where he was the replacement Steph Curry in the offense, where he came off the bench, he played the Warriors brand of basketball, and he was really effective. That he would light things up like that. So it's kind of been a bummer to me to see how Jordan Poole has sort of gone off. I would love for a little bit of like a resurgent story for him to find his place. And I'll also note, like, in Washington, I thought he was going to be more fun to watch than was the case. Like, I thought it would be one of those bad teams where at least this is crazy entertaining. Really wasn't even that. So I would like to get Jordan Poole get back on the right track.
Yeah, and he's a big part of what this Pelicans team can be. And look, again, they don't have a pick next year, so there's no incentive to tank. No matter what, even if they're 11 seed and Zion misses like a month of the season and he's coming back, there's no incentive to hold him out and tank. They got to go for it this year. They traded their pick to the Hawks. And again, why I defended that trade, and look, it could, the jury's still out, in my opinion.
No, it's not.
Whether it's a dumb or a good trade, and
bad practice regardless.
Most people think it's dumb, but their reasoning behind sacrificing a second-round pick or a first-round pick for this upcoming draft and moving up in last year's draft is because they believe they got 2 lottery guys in this year's draft instead of getting one this year and one next year. And those 2 guys are Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen, who both have looked good so far this season. So I'm not saying they like won that trade or they're vindicated for making that trade, but you're kind of seeing why they made it now because of how high they were on those 2 guys. And I believe that this team has to go for it this year, and I think they will.
And by the way, their general manager, after making these trades and decision to get rid of your first-round pick next year, saying it would be unfair to put playoff expectations on this roster.
You know,
so
those weren't the smartest comments, but
no. My guy Matas Buzelis, man, feeling any different about my all-star take after the first 2 games of the season?
He looks good. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, he does look good. I can't. All-star is probably a stretch. I was with you too. Like, it's not like I didn't like the guy. I think he has all-star potential this season. I don't see it, but the Bulls are fun because of him.
Yeah,
like he's becoming a can't miss league pass guy.
Yeah, which I love. So shout out to Matas, and I'm glad for Chicago to have a little bit of life, a little bit of excitement. That's a franchise that deserves it more than that they have gotten there. Looking around the league a little bit more, I'll give you your opportunity. Talk to me about your New York Knicks. I know 2-0. They've looked great. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's one of my biggest takeaways of how good they've looked and how different this offense looks compared to last year. And it's not just the minutes distribution and how much Mike Brown is playing his bench. It's how this offense looks, where they're initiating so much with this brush screen at the top of the key, a lot of brush screens and a ball screen, whether it's Mikal Bridges and Jalen Brunson, or Brunson and Miles McBride, or even Cat and Jalen Brunson at times. This offense is so much playing with so much more pace. This offense looks just completely reimagined with Jalen Brunson off the ball. Mikal Bridges is playing on ball for large stretches, and Jalen is coming off of he's getting a lot of catch and shoot opportunities. He's doing things that you didn't see him do last year. So I've been super impressed with how much the ball is moving, how much pace they're playing with, how much Mikal Bridges is operating as the one playing Jalen Brunson off the ball, which is giving him easier looks. And look, he hasn't necessarily shot the ball so great through 2 games, but he still scored 31 points, I believe it was, on 20 shot attempts yesterday. Still getting to the free throw line when it's time for Brunson to cook in clutch time. He's still doing that. Josh Hart was great last night as a rebounder, as a defender, even though he doesn't give you much offensively. I've been so impressed with this Knicks team. And look, this Knicks team was the 5th best offense in the entire NBA last year, and they still completely reimagined it.
How's their defense?
They were the 5th best. That's irrelevant right now, but they were the fifth best offense last year because strictly of their talent. I mean, they took the entire shot clock. They were so much dribbling. They played with such slow pace. It was just, they were so talented that they were still able to be a 5th best offense. So when this offense now, with the same talent, pretty much just a deeper bench, reimagines itself and has more ball movement, plays with more pace, getting to their actions way quicker, has Jalen Brunson off the ball, operating as a guy off the catch more than he was ever last year, involving Mikal Bridges as an on-ball guy more than ever. When that offense is reimagined, already a 5th best offense in the league, I think this is going to be the best offense in the entire NBA this year. When it's said and done, I told you before the season, this team's going to win 60 games. I think they're going to have the best offensive rating, and that's credit to how Mike Brown has completely reimagined this offense, playing faster, not shooting so late into the shot clock.
Oh, I hit the wrong drop. I tried to drop a nice Kawhi laugh on you. I was struggling trying to find a better one than that, but nonetheless.
Look, this team is going to win a lot of regular season games. They just are. And I think it's mostly because of their offense.
There we go. Got the right button that
Laugh
time.
at me all you want, Kawhi.
Wow. All right. Well, I gave you your little section of Knicks corner. We won't dig into too deep.
But you can't even disagree right now.
I mean, they're 2-0. We've played 2 basketball
I know,
games.
but they look good, and it looks different. That's the thing. It looks different.
Yeah. I'll also note shout out to anybody who joined me with my write-up on DraftKings Sportsbook for under 26.5 points for Jalen Brunson in the opener. He did finish with 23 then.
Struggled.
Yeah, so shout out to you guys who joined me in that. That was a great day for me. I got to write under for Justin Herbert's on the Thursday night football game and under for Jalen Brunson in their season opener. That was a dream day. Dream day at work for your boy there. So, yeah, we still got a lot more to get into with the NBA. We're still at the very early parts of the season. Sam, any final thoughts? I know you got to get out of here. I kind of led with a couple of my takeaways here. I'll leave the floor yours for these final 2 minutes before I know you got a jet.
Yeah, I don't think so. Look, we're off to an unbelievable start in the NBA. It's the quality of basketball. Forget like the double overtime games that both the Thunder's first 2 games went to. The quality of basketball is just unbelievable. The talent in this league is as high as it's ever been. You see that more and more every single year, even when impactful rookies come in and already make their mark. So the NBA is the greatest league on earth. Like every night, I just feel like I'm watching like the greatest league because I am watching the greatest league on earth. And even the off-court drama makes it interesting and entertaining. And casuals, people who don't follow the NBA all the time like us, can come in and bash the NBA or talk about the NBA, whatever they want to do. But it was a quintessential NBA week for the opening week, and it's only going to get better from here. We're going to be breaking it down every week.
100%. So me and Sam will be back live again throughout the week. Make sure you're sticking with me after this break because I got a little bit more Sixers thoughts that I got to get into right here on the channel. So keep around for the next 3 minutes. I'll be back talking to you on the other side.
Gary Barbera is going to put your rear in a Wrangler. Barbera Jeep from 16,666.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
Start this update on the Vine Street Expressway with extra heavy volume in both directions across town between the Schuylkill and Broad. Basically, a little heavier actually on the westbound side. If you're traveling eastbound on the Schuylkill, keep in mind the off-ramp is partially blocked with an accident. This is the eastbound ramp leading to 202. Having said that, the rest of your ride on the eastbound Schuylkill, not too bad. Westbound stop and go University to the Vine. And further west, you're clogged up in a big way, the boulevard out through Belmont. Eric Herr, Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Whole Foods Market. The Cheers to Fall event is on at Whole Foods Market. Through October 28th, save on beef chuck roasts, frozen pizzas, and more cozy gathering favorites. Shop Whole Foods Market in-store or online.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take Dayquil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Ugh, okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the Dayquil.
Undo your flu symptoms with Dayquil Intense Flu. Dayquil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms.
I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
Dayquil Intense Flu. The daytime coughing, aching, fever, under your flu medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Football season is back, yes, but off the field, life can hit even harder at times. Car wreck, slip and fall, work injuries, yeah, they all happen. Don't sit on the sideline after being injured, though. Only one person to call. Call attorney Big Al, 1-800-HURT-123. Big Al gets the job done, and he picks up 24/7. Big Al brings the heat both on and off the field, and he wins. That's the most important part. One more time, 1-800-HURT-123. Call Big Al today.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now. I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get real money back when you get gas with the Upside app?
Yep, I get real cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code VAN for an extra 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code VAN for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code VAN.
Hey, man, you all right? Need me to call 911? No, call Top Dog Law. Get top dollar for your accident at topdoglaw.com. Once again, that's topdoglaw.com.
It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month. LifeLock is here with tips to help protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication, report scams, and update your software. And for comprehensive identity protection, LifeLock is your best choice. LifeLock alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal information and fixes identity theft, guaranteed, or your money back. Start your protection today with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use promo code NEWS. Terms apply.
If you can wager on it, we're talking about it. It's The Gambler. Your weekend sports edge starts here. This is Sean Barnard live on Fox Sports The Gambler.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the final segment right here on Fox Sports The Gambler. My name is Sean Barnard, as always, here to close things down, and we got a little bit more Sixers to talk about. We got a full day of programming right here at Fox Sports The Gambler, so make sure to keep it locked if you're not. Coming up next, we have the Villanova Road Show starting right here at 1, as well as the pregame before football kicks off at 3:30 today. So make sure to keep it tapped for that. But let's close things out talking some Philadelphia 76ers. So I know I touched on it a little bit with Sam Oshtry. Obviously, VJ Edgecombe, the headline story of not just the Sixers, but really across the NBA for the start that he has had to his NBA career. I'm not ready to take the victory laps over the Ace Bailey conversations yet, and I will make sure I cover my bases and recognize that I was an Ace Bailey guy out of the gate. VJ Edgecombe being the guy by the tail end of that. And everything that he answers continues to reinforce that. I mean, this dude, after dropping his 34 points, after having one of the most incredible debuts, he was asked about it by the Sixers beat reporters. And shout out to Adam Aronson, Sixers Adam, who I saw tweet this out. He was asked about the draft class overall. And when you look at the success guys like Con Kneppel are having and look around the league, what does that mean to you? Do you keep track of that? VJ Edgecombe's reply to that was the quote that, quote, comparison is the thief of joy. That's right. 20-year-old VJ Edgecombe is telling that to beat reporters when asked about how he looks at these other rookies. That is a grown-up, mature man who's ready to grow into the face of the franchise. That is Jalen Hurts-like in what he is ultimately discussing there. If we're talking about VJ Edgecombe repping out Jalen Hurts quotes, "We are in business for what he could mean to this city." And to give a little Jalen love here.
Lay everything on the line right now. Lay everything on the line. These are once in a lifetime opportunities we got right in front of us in our hands. So what you gonna do? What you gonna do?
Won't lie, wasn't the drop I thought it was, but nonetheless, you got a little Jalen fiery speech in there. To bring it back to the Sixers overall, I do think that there's something refreshing about this season. And the reason that I say that is it's felt like for the entirety of the Joel Embiid era that we've been such barred against expectations, that the feet have been held to the fire for this has to be the year. They have to get past the second round. They have to find a way to actually look like championship contenders, that the pressure has been at an all-time high. For the first time in the entirety of the Embiid era, that there aren't really those expectations. The Eastern Conference is wide open, that the Sixers are truly one of the teams that nobody could predict how they will end up this season. I kind of like that, to be perfectly honest. That I'm not saying we should throw away expectations and believe that this team is going to do nothing. But what I am saying right now is we don't have to be looking over our shoulder in the direction that it's felt like has been the case for the past 10 years here of we got to get to the 1 seed. We got to get to the 3 seed. We got to match up with the Atlanta Hawks for a clearer pathway to the postseason. None of these have worked here. This is now a time to just enjoy a little bit of basketball. And I do think that there is a sense of this team is ready to compete on a night-to-night basis in a way that has not been the case in the past couple of years, dating back to even in the tail end of the Ben Simmons era, certainly the James Harden era, and certainly in just the full-on Embiid era after the fact. This is a team that is hard-nosed, competitive, youthful, and wants to win. That what I know about VJ Edgecombe, what I know about Tyrese Maxey, these guys are going to give you everything they got on an every night basis. And as a Sixers fan, I'm not sure you can ask for much more than that. That we are going to have these conversations of where does this backcourt stack up around the NBA? Because it is higher than you might think right now. That I think we are just maybe a couple years away from Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe speaking about looking like the best backcourt in the NBA. They could be that talented right there. And don't let Maxey get lost in all this. 40 points is 40 points, man. That is him and Victor Wembanyama, the only people to do that in their debuts this season. That's nuts stuff. That's a guy who continues to grow. And if we're talking about making a bet on people reaching their potential, both VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey right at the top of the list. That's not even including a guy like Jared McCain, who we've not seen return to the floor. We know what he looked like in his 23 games played last year. That would have run away with Rookie of the Year. And speaking of Rookie of the Year, VJ Edgecombe right in that mix this year. The odds, incredibly, just an absolutely rapid jump from that first game. It is a long season. There's going to be a lot of reactionary takes. But I think for what me and Sam referenced was sort of the mess that has been made down in Dallas from a roster construction standpoint, you see the clear role for what VJ is to the Sixers team. And shout out to Nick Nurse for letting these guys run, man. It's encouraging to me, to the same point about expectations, that they are not living and breathing. They're not living and dying with what Joel Embiid is going to give them. There will be more days where Joel looks like a little bit of the throwback version of himself, where he has his touch. He is moving better. He's looking like the Joel Embiid of old to an extent. It's not going to be every night. It's probably not going to be consistent, but I do think those nights will occur. On the nights where that is not the case, and that was certainly how it looked in game one, there's other ways that this team can win basketball games. That has not been true for the entirety of Joel Embiid's career. That I cannot think of a single time that Joel Embiid has worn a Sixers uniform that he could go an entire first quarter without scoring and be benched for the final 9 minutes of that game, and the Sixers still go on to win. That is what happened on opening night for the Philadelphia 76ers. They are 1-0 with Joel Embiid playing 20 minutes of basketball like not a guy that belonged on the court. That has not happened. I understand that Joel, they are married to. I've made that point quite clear that regardless of your feelings on him, regardless of the reactionary, we need to move on, get rid of this guy. It is not as cut and dry as that, but they've already sort of turned a page in how they're building. That this is the Tyrese Maxey show. This is the VJ Edgecombe show. This is the Jared McCain show. This could still be the Quentin Grimes show. And that is not even including some of the bottom of the barrel or bottom of the roster jobs that Daryl Morey has done. We have not seen what Trendon Watford brings to this team yet, who is a guy that I think when the dust settles will be the starting power forward on this team. Dominic Barlow absolutely popped off the page with his athleticism, his energy, his effort level, knowing his role. And that's going to be such an important role in this same Joel Embiid conversation. We're not going to fully feel the effects of whatever this version of Joel Embiid is from a scoring perspective as much. he's still going to be a fine jump shooter. And again, he had a bad game one. There's no, you have to acknowledge that. 1 of 9 from the field, minus 16, worst on the floor. Look the part of that. But we're going to feel the absence of the best version of Joel much more on the defensive side of the floor. That it's been true through the entirety of his career. That you throw whatever for other players around him, it's going to be a good defense because Joel Embiid is the anchor. Joel Embiid is at the center of it. I don't think we're there anymore. But when you pair it with a guy like Dominic Barlow, who's willing to put his body on the line, who wants to jump up, fly around, block shots, rebound at a high rate, then you got a little something there. We'll see. There's still a lot more pieces that have to come together, but it does feel like Nick Nurse is in his bag from a coaching perspective, who has the tools to build an identity of a roster in a way that he sees fit. And we know the peak days of Nick Nurse involved having switchable guys that wanted to fly over all over the floor defensively, that wanted to get their hands in passing lanes, generate fast break, get over. That's how the Raptors won a championship here. The Sixers have failed to provide him with that type of roster until this point. And now we're starting to see the vision that we're starting to see Nick Nurse coach like the mad scientist, the X and O's guys that we expected him to be when he showed up in Philadelphia for the first time here. We are just 1 game into the season, and they will play game 2 against the Charlotte Hornets, who, by the way, I will note, are not as much of a pushover as is seemingly in all of our heads. And for good reason, over the past years of failure that organization has had as well. But they have Brandon Miller. They have LaMelo Ball. They have talented players. Con Kneppel, another member of them, that you're going to have to actually scrap and play good basketball to beat this team. I'm encouraged the direction that the Hornets are going overall there. But if the Philadelphia 76ers want to be a serious basketball team, these are the games that you have to prove that is the case there. And also, the Celtics win was not nothing. That I understand these are not the Boston Celtics, the same group that won a championship 2 years ago. That I understand that Jason Tatum is still sitting on the sideline with his Achilles tear. That they have flaws in this roster. Not a true big man. No more Al Horford. No more Luke Cornett. That obviously Anthony Simons has his defensive flaws. Peyton Pritchard has his defensive flaws. But that's still going to be a competitive team that has an identity that is going to try. That I still believe the Celtics will be a playoff team when push comes to shove this year. The Philadelphia 76ers went in there and took care of business. And even scrapped back from being down for most of that game. That I believe they were down 11 points heading into the fourth quarter and found a way to win. These are all new characteristics, new identity that we don't typically think about that with the Sixers. This team has some fight in them in a way that I just have not seen in a couple seasons now, and it feels great to see. So I'm not saying you need to rush and throw expectations and believe in this team that this year is going to be different. But what I am saying is approach it with an open mind in a way that I think the city and the fan base has failed to do for several years now. Don't be disheartened by this team having its ups and downs. Enjoy them. Enjoy the ride with this team because this does feel a bit of a different flavor from what we've expected from Sixers basketball or what has come to be the norm for Sixers basketball. It felt like they've kind of shifted more towards what I think everyone hates about the NBA. The high-priced players, the guys that don't care. This is now a bunch of young guys ready to scrap, ready to fight, ready to compete, and give you everything they've got on an every-night basis. That is my expectations for the Sixers team this season. How that equates to wins and losses, how that equates to the postseason outlook is to be determined. But we're at the start of something pretty cool, not at the end of something that was a failure. Both those things can be true to an extent, but there should be optimism about this Sixers team. We are not talking about Eric Gordon, Kyle Lowry, and Andre Drummond on a regular basis. We will be talking about VJ Edgecombe, Tyrese Maxey, and all the other young guys that will make their impact felt. It is noteworthy to me that Nick Nurse did not play Eric Gordon at all, did not play Kyle Lowry at all, saw Andre Drummond for just 3 minutes while Joel Embiid is on a minutes restriction. It is noteworthy that he's willing to start a guy on a two-way contract with Dominic Barlow because he believed he was the best player or the best option for the team. It is noteworthy to me that Joel Embiid was not on the floor for the final 9:27 of that matchup because Nick Nurse said that is the right decision. And I get the forward-facing, doing the nice, media PR cover of, well, we took it up to the minutes limit. That's the range that we wanted to be in. I can't imagine that was how it was drawn up at the start of the game to not have Joel Embiid on the floor. But that's what the game called for, and that was the decisions that were made. So hat tip to Nick Nurse for that. This is a high-pressure season for a lot of reasons, and a lot of people, jobs on the line to an extent. I think Nick Nurse firmly in that category, that I've been a little bit more critical than most of him for last season, because I understand everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And most of the issues with this team, you can't remotely put on Nick Nurse. That when you don't know whether your best player is going to be there on a night-to-night basis, as was the case all of last year, that's a tough spot to be in. But my personal frustration is Nick Nurse has been billed as this X's and O's genius, this mad scientist who has all these creative schemes and can adapt to anything. And it felt all too easy last year that he would throw his hands up and say, well, what do you want me to do about that? That can't be the response this year. And that starts from the top down. And I think everyone is understanding that message to an extent. So just be open-minded about the Sixers this year. They may not win a championship, but they are going to be more fun to watch than I can think of them in several years. So get involved in the conversation if you have any comments below. Appreciate you guys for hanging with me. Got a couple more minutes before I wrap it up here. I did just want to dive into some other loose ends. The NBA as a whole, like, I'm with Sam Oshtry that it is the best league in the world. I also think like now is as competitive as ever. And the Western Conference in particular is absolutely looking like that. The Spurs and Thunder, the two teams off to a 2-0 start. Even at this stage of the season, it's kind of crazy how much the pack is already starting to separate. And I get it. We're 2 games in. We're 1 week in here. But it does feel like a hierarchy is establishing itself. And as I look around, like I feel better about how the Sixers stack up in that. Look around the Eastern Conference for how that is the case. The Bucks 2-0, the Knicks 2-0. We know sort of the story with those. I will note, I think I discounted the Bucks a little bit more than should probably be the case there. The Giannis still one of them ones as far as best players in the league there, and they did a nice job surrounding him with shooting. There is an identity. It makes sense to me, the Miles Turner and Giannis pairing from a shot blocking perspective, from a guy that can space the floor offensively. They had to pay the pretty price to make sure that was the case, to get Dame Lillard off, to stretch and waive that contract, which is an insane decision in a vacuum there. But if this works out, if this keeps Giannis in Milwaukee for an extended period of time, which we'll see if that is ultimately what the results are, you can make the case for why that was the right move. But looking around the rest of the Eastern Conference, the Hornets and Bulls each off to a 1-0 start. And of course, the Sixers taking on Charlotte tonight. The Toronto Raptors 1-1. The Hawks 1-1. The Magic 1-1. The Heat, Cavaliers, Pistons, Wizards, same record here. None of these teams I think the Sixers should look at and say, we have no chance. If this was a Western Conference team, we would have the conversation, for it is time to throw in the towel. There is no chance in that. That is not the case. Let the Sixers play their way into whatever weight class that they end up in. If that is the heavyweights of the Eastern Conference, so be it. Let's see what happens come postseason time, and let's see if these young guys are ready to punch up at a rapid rate. If that is the middle tier, the play-in type area, that's still going to be exciting, man. We're still going to get a taste of what these guys can do and how ready they are for the moment. The best thing possible for the future of this franchise is for each of these guys to play through these same exact mistakes. I want to see VJ Edgecombe asked to do too much offensively. Let's see what he can do as a creator, trying to run offense for an extent. Jared McCain going to be heavily involved. That all this is just a bit more fun to me this year. That it's refreshing to not just have these hardcore expectations for the Philadelphia 76ers. We can sit back, watch, enjoy, relax, and watch some basketball, man. That there is a youthful energy and excitement in a way that there has not been the case in really the past decade. So I understand that it is frustrating that we have not got to the mountaintop in the Joel Embiid era. But we can have multiple eras sort of blended in together as one in a way that does paint the franchise in a much better light overall. So I'm not ready to rush and say, play the song, plan those championship parades just yet. What I am ready to say is buckle up for a far better just experience as a fan in watching the Sixers than has been the case in several years. We'll see what the rest of the season has in store, but I could not be more excited for the start and ready for them to pick right back up against the Charlotte Hornets today. So appreciate you guys for hanging with me on this edition of Sean Barnard Live. Shout out to Sam Oshtry for popping in studio, hanging with me for the first hour and a half there. Shout out to you guys for tuning along, getting involved in the comments and everything else. We're turning it over to the Villanova Road Show on the other side of this. So we'll be live from Villanova before we go up to the pregame show. And of course, the football team kicking off at 3:30. So make sure you keep it locked on the dial. I'll be back to talk with you right here on next Saturday. Peace.
The Bonus Bucks Cash Contest is back. That's right. Every weekday, we're dropping code words